Stuck in the should've, could've, would've loop? Stop sinking. There is a ladder out. In the next 30 minutes, Elizabeth Jane gives the exact bite-sized tools she used to climb out of grief after a 25-year marriage ended. Have you ever felt something was wrong but couldn't explain it? Like the person you love was slowly chipping away at your sense of self?
Believe me, we have been there. Different marriages, but to the same man, with the same toxic pattern. But God was still working.
We're Lizzie and Dina, women of faith, survivors, and truth tellers.
Surviving toxic relationships is for any woman stuck in confusion, healing after betrayal, or just searching for her voice again.
You are not crazy.
You are deeply loved. Hello, everybody. Today we are on another episode of Surviving Toxic Relationships, and we have a very special guest with us, Elizabeth Jane. Elizabeth, thank you so much for being here. We are so excited that you're here, and we know you have a lot to offer our audience.
Well, thanks, Dina and Lizzie. Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely.
Pleasure.
So, Elizabeth Jane is an emotional well-being expert, a celebrated artist, a keynote speaker, and the author of the best-selling book Free and First: Unlocking Your Ultimate Life. After rebuilding her life following the sudden end of a 25-year marriage, Elizabeth turned her personal journey into a powerful mission to help others heal, rise, and reconnect with their true worth. Through her art, writing, and public speaking, she empowers people to navigate heartbreak, family conflict, dating anxiety, and communication breakdowns with grace and self-respect. Elizabeth is known for her heartfelt insights on emotional healing, authenticity, and courageous conversations, topics that she will bring to life today with both wisdom and warmth.
Oh, well, thank you for that introduction. It's great to be here.
Yeah, so let's just start out, Elizabeth, with, your story. Tell us about your past with your 25-year relationship and what brought you to this place in your life of writing a book and helping women to heal.
Yes, I'd always been an optimist, and I'd always thought, my life was pretty good and everything was rocking and rolling the right way, and I had 4 healthy children, and I'd always enjoyed picking people up and making them feel good. And then I found myself in a really big hole because a surprise, or more like a shock, divorce sent my life into total disarray. It was like a roller coaster. It was so tough. 30 years together, 25-year marriage, 4 children, and absolutely no warning. And I thought, wow. I initially went into shock, and then went through all the grieving process, the anger, a roller coaster of emotions, as you can imagine. And then I realized, well, divorce is such a common thing, it's like 50%, or, it can get as high as 50% of people get divorced. And I thought, well, what, if I'm feeling this bad, how do other women and men feel when they go through divorce? And for the first time, I realized how destroying it was, like to be discarded when you've spent, 3 decades with someone, giving your all to someone, to a marriage and to your children, and then to have your children on the precipice of being adults. The twins were the youngest, and they were about to do their year 12 final exams and become adults. And I just felt so alone and discarded. And I thought, wow, what am I going to do now? And of course, initially, I did the often sort of the go-to, grab the champagne and the vodka bottle and just kept busy and partying with my friends, thinking, oh, I'll shake this off. But it didn't work for me, and it may have worked short term, but those mornings after the big nights took me back even deeper and darker. And so I realized that I was in a situation where I had an opportunity here to explore different modalities. I was really fortunate that I had a eat, pray year, eat, pray, love year, if you so to speak, where I could explore different, what was working and what was not, what was helping me to heal and what was hurting me. And that's when my book organically grew. It started its notes in my phone, and then my girlfriends were saying, "Oh, you're looking better. What are you doing? What are you doing?" And so I'd be handing out tips and tools and ideas to my girlfriends, and then they said, "You really need to put this in a book. You really need to capture this." So that's when my book came about, which I'm doing a second edition shortly, which is going to be bright yellow cover, and still my first painting on the front, the lotus flower, as we can get stuck in the mud. We can get stuck, but then we can work out the tools and the tips to climb ourselves out of the mud. It's a beautiful day and it's a beautiful world, but it's just really having those signposts, having those. I see my book as a manual. It's not a profuse book. It's not, when you're going through trauma, the last thing you want is a really profuse book. You go, how's this helping me? I'm just getting lost in the book. So it's really succinctly written, and has paintings that reinforce the tools as well that came to me to be painted and to be placed in the book. So the tools vary depending on what stage you're up to, whether you're in the shock stage, and it can be the shock stage of a marriage breakup. It can be in the shock stage of a health concern. It can be in the shock stage of a financial concern, or it can be all three baskets. But these tools in this book equip you and to climb the rungs of the ladder up and out of the quicksand. And sometimes it feels like quicksand because you can get deeper and deeper into it if we continue to go over the drama, over, oh, why me? And we get into this victim mentality. Oh, God, what did I do? What did I do to deserve this? That just takes us down further. Where do we go from here, Lizzie and Dina? I'll give you back your voice.
No, you're doing great. Honestly, we were just transfixed. This is great. So yeah, if we're nodding along, that's totally okay. The only question I'm going to have that I already think you're going to get there is like, you know, the different phases where the shock has worn off, that's worn off, but now you find yourself alone and really facing this new reality. That phase, and then of course there's another phase, and maybe just some tools for each phase so that no matter where our listeners are on their journey, they can take away some things that could really help them to navigate. I personally thought the hardest part was right afterwards. I also had 4 kids, was married 27 years. And right after you're not married anymore, you are alone.
It was a very weird and surreal experience. Actually, you've taken me right back there, Nardina. It's like, I'd always had, since I was 17, I'd always been in a relationship. So 17, I had two-year relationships, and then my husband came along, and so I really had never had a period where I hadn't had a partner beside me since I was 17, and then to find myself 52. It was, that in itself was just so scary, and I didn't really want to. My mother and father were living in Melbourne, another city, and I didn't really want to. Being the eldest, I didn't want to bother them with my problems, because they always thought I was very equipped to deal with everything, and so I kept a lot of it to myself. And on top of it, the children, as I said, they were adults, and so they weren't needing me. And then the husband had discarded me, but also all the friendship groups, because I was supporting him in his main sport, which was sailing. And he was really immersed within that, and therefore I was as well, and raced boats with him and supported him for 20 years racing boats. But so all the sailors, they all washed they just flushed out of my life as well. So I really looked around and I thought, my gosh, there's just no one here. There's just no one here. My children were all partnered up and into their own lives, and husband had gone, and I had, because I had given my whole and my heart to my relationship and also to the yachting world, and probably neglected my girlfriends because there was no time to fit them in with the 4 children and the sailing that was so big in my life. I really had to work out how to claw back the relationships, because I'd actually been taken out of my city, my home city as well. So my home city was Melbourne, and I'd been living for the last 25 years in Sydney. And so I had a core group of friends, 7 girlfriends, which really helped me. And that's what I'm getting onto. The initial things when you're going through the shock is have your to-do list, your 10 things that lift you up, 10 quick things that will snap you out of where you're at. Like it could be dancing to a silly song, or picking flowers in the street, just something. It could be playing hopscotch with the children next door. It could be ringing a girlfriend who's not going to go into the drama, but who's going to uplift you, to support you. Find your supporting network, even if it is the coffee man, whoever it is. It doesn't matter who it is. 10 people and 10 things that you can do instantly to lift you, to get you through the next half hour, to get you through the next day. That's was really important in my early days. And then I realized a really big tool after that sort of you can start using straight away as well. When you are feeling not good, when you are feeling yuck, it is because unconsciously, usually, or consciously, you've gone into the past. You've gone into the drama, the should've, could've, would've. If you're saying should've, could've, would've, you're in the drama of the spilt milk of the past, and you're taking yourself down, your vibration down into the quicksand, into the mud, and it's going to get heavier. Get out of there. So realize if you're feeling yuck, you've unconsciously gone into the past, into the shame blame game, if you want to call it, whatever you want to call the drama. He should have, she could have, blah, blah, blah. All that stuff is just going to make you go further down, deeper. Again, the fantasy future. Sometimes you've gone unconsciously into the fantasy future, fatalizing about the fantasy future, but it's a fantasy. And so your thoughts you become. So if you think it's going to be all pretty grim in the future, guess what? It's going to be pretty grim. So what we need to do is go, okay, I'm not feeling good. I'm going to bring myself back into the now. How am I going to do that? So for me, it's anything at all that brings you into the present, that makes you mindful. So it doesn't really matter. It can be a hobby. It could be stamp collecting. It could be a dancing class. It could be whatever brings you joy and keeps you present. For me, it was painting. For me, it was journaling. It was journaling about the good stuff and the bad stuff, because it gave me clarity. It gave me clarity. So whatever it is, if you're feeling yuck, bring yourself back into the now, and recognize that you've just got lost in your mind, which is not really the truth of you, and into your negative thinking, your cycles of negative thinking. And then, so that's the important thing to do. And then another really, really important thing that helped me is I realized that this was not an overnight wonder. would be kind to myself and not shame and blame myself, because that's going to make me feel worse. It's going to take me down into the quicksand. So ho hum. I had too much champagne the other night. Ho hum. I don't be, just give yourself, a big hug. Have a bubble bath. Whatever it takes to reassure yourself that you're going to be okay and that you're on the right track is really, really important. Yeah, I think that's, and so yes, and so then as we move on, as we start to feel better, we become aware. When we become aware, we stop, because another third really important thing is when we get busy in our life, we say, oh, I'm not sad. I'm not angry. No, I'm fine. I'm just keeping really busy. Now there's a problem with that. No, but it's a good busy. It's a good busy. I'm not drinking busy. I'm being productive. Working hard. I'm doing my best. There's a problem with that, in that 99.9% of the world are on life's hamster wheel, and it's a very busy place. But what it doesn't allow us to do is it doesn't allow us to stop, even just for a couple of minutes, to feel how we feel. And that is paramount to healing. So if we're busy, okay, no, I haven't got time to stop. I haven't got time to feel my feelings. I've got this meeting, and then there's this meeting, and then I'm going to go to the gym, and then I'm going to go there, and then I'm going to have a girlfriend, and we're going to go and have a drink, and then, no, it's a busy day, and it's a really productive day, and I'm really happy. I'm fine. The only problem is the feelings of our sadness, the feelings of our anger, the feelings that hold us down or hold us back from being our amazing selves, the best version of ourselves. Those feelings cannot be processed if we don't acknowledge, allow, and accept. Acknowledge, allow, and accept how we're feeling. So we have to do A, and then what comes after A? B, the boundaries. Okay, oh gosh, I'm feeling angry. I didn't realize I was feeling so angry. I was so busy, I wasn't even feeling I was angry. Now I'm really angry. I'm really angry about my daughter or my son or my boss or my partner. I'm really angry. Now, what can we do with that anger? Well, we've got three choices. We can bottle it up inside, and that's not going to be good for our health. It's going to keep our vibration down, down, down. It's not going to help us climb the ladder. Or we can have a big road rage concept where we can just rage it out with the person. That's going to not help you, and it's not going to help the other person. Or we can go the middle road, that empowered conversation. Empowered conversation. A whole chapter is on this in my book. A, acknowledging. B, setting the boundaries. Having that empowered conversation through the heart. Not passive, not aggressive. I feel this when the toothpaste lid is left off. What can we do about it? Opening up, how do you feel about this? And they might go, I didn't know you felt that way. What? Really? You feel that way? You may have been walking around on eggshells thinking, oh, I can't talk about that. The elephant in the room. But when you do, you might go, I'm so glad you brought that up. I want to talk about that as well. And so it's really, and that builds intimacy, that strengthens relationships. And then guess what? You've communicated the A, acknowledge, B, boundaries, the communication, all very important. Follow the ABC and you'll be free. You'll be free to be the leader of your life. You're no longer sort of going, oh, what do you think will happen with this? And you're talking and building the relationship. And on top of that, you're actually lifting your vibration because you feel better. Oh gosh, I feel such a relief. I talked to, my child, or I talked to my boss, and he was feeling the same way. Funny, it wasn't a problem. I was just making it all up big in my head, in my thoughts, keeping myself down. Oh, I feel so much better now. And so the ABC of me, bringing yourself back into the present by doing something to keep, I think, people who are really depressed, it may be just going to the fridge, getting ice out of the fridge and holding ice in your hand. That has to bring you back into the present, because you'll become aware of the sensations of the ice. You're not lost in your thoughts, which will drain you. So
Those are really great tips. And it's amazing when you talk about midlife divorce, because that's something Dina and I cover a lot, that gray divorce. I think there is that huge sense of loss, and the grief is a little different. I think divorce in itself is very icky and ugly, whether it was a decent marriage or a horrible marriage. There's just so many emotions that come with it. And you hit the nail on the head. It's so easy to get back into the quicksand. And sometimes we end up in that quicksand before we even realize we're in that quicksand. And it is that power of the mind, the power of, wait, I gotta start changing the direction of my thoughts. Because Dina and I have seen so many people, even a couple years after the divorce, that just they're staying stuck in that quicksand. And, it's wonderful to have those tips, and they're great reminders, and they're not intensely difficult. But it's that reprogramming through the grief. I think that's the hardest point. And it's really sometimes I think it feels like you have a right to be there longer than you should, right? I mean, some people think they have that right,
Yeah.
but
I think
go ahead.
I think that's the hardest thing. How long do I stay in feeling my feelings? Elizabeth Jane said, "Oh, it's fine. I've got a right to feel sad. I've got a right to feel this. This is me. I'm feeling it, and I just want to be left alone right now because I'm just really, really sad." And then I think you have to recognize, and it's a fine line. It's different for every person. But if we've subtly gone into blaming, how like the gun, it's pointing two fingers at the partner and three are pointing back at you. Three are pointing back at you because it takes two to tango. So I really believe that what you attract, this is really, really important. What you attract is what you've actually needing to heal within you. So relationships are a mirror. So if your children are coming to you and they're disrespecting you, or your partner, or anyone, it's like, aha, okay, Elizabeth Jane said this is a mirror. I'm getting disrespect coming towards me. I need to look really closely with a magnifying glass where I am disrespecting myself.
Yeah.
And I'm not getting any love. Well, guess what? We need to love ourselves foremost, and we love ourselves first. So it's everything we do, we make sure we're not doing for the other person, for their approval only. We have to do it for us as well. And because if we don't love ourselves, we're not going to be able to be love to others. We're not going to be able to. It's a two-way tango. And so that was a whole chapter in my book about self-care, about lifting yourself up. Because once we get our internal landscape happening and we're happy and love every part of ourselves, and that can be like, what? I can't love every part of myself. No, I don't. But once we can accept every part of ourselves, then that will be mirrored back. It will be mirrored back, and people will love us for us. And so it's a really, so there's that chapter, and there's also a chapter on forgiveness. This is another good one. So to climb up the ladder, we're still thinking of tools to climb up the ladder out of the quicksand. Now, forgiveness, I thought, oh, well, I have to fake it until I make it because I'm not forgiving. So in the early days, it's very common not to want to forgive. But I love Nelson Mandela's quote about holding on to resentment. Holding on to resentment is like drinking poison and expecting your enemy to die. So it doesn't do anything good for us to hold on to resentment. And that doesn't mean we need to accept, condone the misbehavior. That's not what I'm talking about, not condoning the misbehavior, but we're forgiving so as we can move on. We're forgiving so we can feel good.
Yeah.
So we're forgiving that they can do what they can do. We're all at different levels of understanding on this planet. So they're probably doing their best at their level, but we don't have to do them. We have to do us. We forgive them for we can't control their actions.
Yeah.
We can't control their actions. All we can control is how we respond to their actions. And so that's a really important thing that helped me lift up.
Well, and forgiveness is a hard step for so many because again, it's that emotion that feels good just to hang on to. I just want to be mad. I just want to stay mad. But the only one they're disabling is themselves and hurting themselves. And they have a hard time thinking that if I forgive, what does that mean? And like you said, it does not mean you condone. It does not mean that what they did was okay. And it also doesn't mean that you ever have to trust that person again. One of the therapists that I was meeting with, my first husband, he was like, forgiveness is something I give, but trust is something someone else has to build and earn.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Yes. And then but the long and short of it is, Dina and Lizzie, what I realized, the funny thing was that I realized that if my ex hadn't played the baddie or the villain, and what I thought was the baddie, discarding me out for didn't know why, if what I realized is that he had given me the gift. I'd lost me in my roles. I'd lost me in my role as a daughter, way before marriage, a daughter, keeping my parents happy. And then I'd lost with the teachers at school, or the partners, the husband and the children. I'd lost me, and he discarding me had given me the gift of finding me, of finding the truth of me, that we are all here on the planet. We come in on the planet by ourselves and we leave by ourselves. And we scarily, which was a really scary concept 8 years ago, but it's scary to think I didn't want to be the leader of my life. I was quite happy hiding behind my husband and my children and in my busyness, and I didn't really want to lead my life. I mean, really, that's a bit, I'm quite happy just, looking after everyone. And that was scary, but my ex gave me that. If he hadn't put me through what he put me through, I would never have found me, and I would never be in the place that I am now, which is, abundant in love and relationships and everything, and health and wealth. It's everything because it's a vibration, and once you can keep climbing the ladder. I was thinking about writing a book about snakes and ladders. Near the big ladder on the snakes and ladders board, there's a really big snake.
Yeah.
There's a really big snake. And the bigger the challenge, the bigger the obstacle in life, the more kindle wood there is, if you know the tools, to lift up quicker. Nelson Mandela is a good example, right? He could have just had that anger about his enemies forever and churned at him inside. But no, he used that as kindlewood, that obstacle as an opportunity to lift up and to uncover the truth, the true essence of himself, which is what spirituality is to me. It's just really knowing you, knowing the truth of you without all the programs and patterns and behaviors that really sort of don't serve us.
And as we're wrapping up, I was thinking it's amazing because Dina and I have said this in different ways, but there are seeds that are being thrown and sown in the darkest time of our grief. But sometimes the most beautiful flowers or the most beautiful things come out of it as we heal. I mean, Dina and I always think our friendship is definitely one of those things, and where we are now with our podcast and just the beautiful people we work with. This is all sown from our own grief, and it's amazing. In your book is sown from your own grief, and it's beautiful when you really heal. And that's why I kind of want to perseverate on that, because when you heal and you really let go of things and you really forgive, you do get to that point that something beautiful can come out of it, and it's going to be different for all of us. But we do have to walk through that pain to heal, but not be stuck in the victim. I know that's a harsh word to say, but yeah. So I'm glad.
Yes.
I'm sure your book is definitely going to impact a lot of beautiful souls out there.
Yes, well, I hope so, because I just think it's in a nutshell. It's got tools and tips. And not too profuse. So it's just really, you can actually open the book. You can, I'm feeling not good at the moment. You can actually open the book and it will give you what you need on that page. You ask the universe, what do I need right now? And it will uplift you, and it will take you into a better place and help you be come into the truth of you, stronger, happier, healthier, and have more joy in your life, which is what it's all about. I mean, we don't want to get too serious. Life's we have to just run with life and enjoy it. Yes.
Hey, well, I love it. That's amazing. And Elizabeth, I really appreciate your tips and tools to help women that are just really coming out of these situations and feel exactly how you described. And we'll be looking forward to that second book with that bright yellow cover and your painting. And but we will have, for all of you listening, we will have her information on our podcast description and also on our YouTube description, so that you can just grab that link and get her book and or reach out to her. So we'll have all that for you. And thanks so much for your time today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Anytime.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Have a wonderful night.
You too.
You're in the night.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Healing isn't tidy. It comes in fits and starts. If something Elizabeth said helped you today, leave one sentence in the comments so others know they are not in this alone. Subscribe, hit the like button, and share this episode with a friend who needs it. If you're listening on a podcast app like Spotify or Apple, please support us with a rating, star, or short review. Those small actions help this work reach people who need it most. Keep going. Small steps matter. Just remember, you are not alone, and you are deeply, deeply loved. And we appreciate you taking the time to listen to our podcast. Have a wonderful day.